Cravings aren't hunger. They're a desire to, I guess, eat something that's going to give you some pleasure, some value, maybe distract you. Really, ultimately, what you need to do is change your relationship to cravings because, and anybody who's ever had lots of discipline with nutrition understands this. Like at some point, you could still have the craving, but your relationship to the craving changes where you don't need to impulsively react or act on them. It's getting comfortable with this feeling. Like we don't have to act on every single feeling that we have, right? I mean, there's ones that we've learned and we've accepted in society, like the violence one. I said, that's normal. That's totally normal. But you don't do it because that's an impulse and I control it and I'm okay. I can deal with my anger, right? I have to learn how to deal with it. Cravings and these feelings that we connect to hunger, which is not really hunger, it's a craving. We have to get comfortable with that feeling. And some people are so uncomfortable with it that they feel a craving, and they tell you, how do I deal with it? I got to eat something immediately. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to give away MAPS Symmetry again for free to one of you lucky viewers because it's MAPS Symmetry launch week. We just launched this brand new program that helps balance out the body, right? Develop the left, the right, bring up weak body parts, give you balance and symmetry using isometrics, unilateral training, and then a 5x5 barbell phase. It's a lot of fun. So here's how you can get free access. Leave a comment the first 24 hours that we drop this episode. Subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. Do all those things, and if we like your comment, we'll notify you, and you'll get free access to MAPS Symmetry. Now, everybody else, this program is on sale during the launch week. It's going to be normal price at $177. Right now, it's only $97, plus we're throwing in 2 free ebooks. You're going to get the Muscle Building Secrets of Isometrics, and you're going to get the Reverse Dieting 101 ebook, both for free with the $97 sale price of MAPS Symmetry. So if you're interested, head over to mapssymmetry.com and use the code SYM50 for that discount. All right, here comes the rest of the show. Isometrics, believe it or not, this type of training builds strength the fastest and is the type of contraction that will activate the most muscle fibers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just saying that because you're trying to sell a book right now.
No.
Well, we do have a good book.
We do. We have an ebook on it. But,
But you're not selling it, though.
No. Put that, aside for a second. When I did research on isometrics, the first time I read about isometrics was as a kid. There were a lot of studies done on isometrics back in the day. And for some reason, this style of training kind of fell out of favor. But when you look at the studies on isometrics, you find like nothing activates more muscle fibers than isometrics. So isometric would be like pushing against something that doesn't move, right? So I'm pushing against the wall, and let's say I'm supported behind me, and I'm pushing as hard as I can. My body is calling upon all muscle fibers because the contraction that the movement I'm trying to do isn't working. So it's activating more muscle fibers. And then studies show that the strength gains with isometrics are faster than the strength gains you get with concentric contractions, which would be the raising of the weight, or negative or eccentric, which is the lowering of the weight. So it's actually the fastest way to gain strength.
Not to mention the lowest risk training style you could possibly go through, because you can let off at any time. It's completely controllable, and you're not dependent on the load kind of moving you around and adjusting with it.
Yeah, risk of injury is low, and damage to the muscle fibers in the body is low. Now, the one downside is, although the strength gains happen fast and furious, they do plateau very quickly. But this is great information to use, right? When you're training, that you can kick off gains very quickly with, well-programmed isometric training. It's just crazy that we don't really do them anymore.
Do you know what that looks like as far as, I heard you say that before, as far as how quick the gains come on and then they plateau. Are we talking about within days, weeks, months?
Weeks. Yeah, so within like 4 to 6 weeks, you'll see these really, really rapid strength gains.
Well, now, what's interesting to me about that's pretty typical for any modality of training.
Mm-hmm.
So,
First 4 to 6 weeks, if you're doing 5x5 training, strength gains come very quick, and then around 4 weeks or so, it starts to taper off.
Well, what you see in the studies is you do see that tapering off, but it doesn't quite slow down as quickly. But the speed of the strength gains with isometrics is crazy. It's so fast. In fact, there was a study where they had like everyday regular people, untrained, do like 5 minutes of isometrics a few days a week. Now they were untrained, okay, so they didn't exercise. So this was something new, but they gained significant strength and muscle in a very short period of time. It's a very interesting training tool that nobody really uses anymore. It's kind of wild that it fell out of favor. I think it's because you can't really sell equipment.
Well, no, actually the opposite is that there is equipment. There's that one machine that everybody talks about that Ben Greenfield's talked about before.
New one.
That's so expensive though. Too.
It is. I mean, here's the thing, and we've talked about it before. Like that does not replace strength training, like your typical strength training. And the same thing goes with like how we're talking about it right now. Like, okay, it has tremendous value to use as a tool or to complement good programming and training, but not as standalone. But they take the science that comes from what you're talking about right now to support those types of machines. Yeah. That's where that comes from, because there are these huge benefits, but they take that and then they run with it.
That's the fitness industry in general, right? They'll cherry pick some of the data for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just think it's such a valuable tool, but also it's a tool. It's not something that like is going to remain at that high of value for so long just doing that method alone.
Well, isn't that what
it's complementary?
Isn't that what Dave Asprey was touting when we first talked to him?
His was like one max rep with this machine.
It's a mechanized version, so it gives you resistance and you're supposed to hold in certain positions, but it also gives you a lot of resistance on the eccentric portion as well. So
okay, so it is both.
A really slow grinding type of an exercise, but the whole time you have like maximal effort.
No, I think the key is with isometric contractions, which is where you're holding a contraction, right? Concentric where you lift, eccentric where you lower. They all have unique values. Understanding them allows you to program them in ways to be complementary. And the beauty of isometrics is they don't cause a lot of damage. There's low risk of injury, and they activate more muscle fibers. Okay, so how is this valuable? Use isometrics on weak body parts or on sticking points in lifts. Like one of the best ways to get through a sticking point, let's say your squat, you have a tough time at the bottom of the squat and then you get way stronger as you lift up. You could get under a bar and have it be anchored so it's not going to move and drive against it, maintain perfect form in that bottom position, and you'll fix that sticking point, right away. As far as equipment is concerned, you could do it very simply on your own. You could literally put two bolts in the concrete, some hooks, attach a chain to it, and then obviously you can make the chain shorter or longer, and you could put a bench underneath it, do a bench at different positions. You could deadlift it, you could squat it, you could curl it, you could do a press off of it, and you're basically pushing against an immovable object. And that's the more advanced form of isometrics. But this type of training was used heavily back in the day. This is how a lot of strength athletes and strongmen complemented their training. And people think that, the strength feats that people did in the 1800s, right? That they just don't compare to the ones we do today. They were remarkable. I mean, Eugene Sandow, who is that's the statue for the Mr. Olympia, is based off Eugene Sandow. You could look it up, and this was confirmed. He did a one-arm bent press with 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. One-arm bent press, 300 pounds.
Do you remember how big he was? He wasn't like crazy.
180 pounds.
You guys to say he was not like a big dude.
No, the strength that they exhibited at their size was insane. So this is such a valuable tool. And think about it, like if you have a weak body part, you're probably not able to activate it very well. You're probably not able to activate all the muscle fibers very well, or not generate the amount of force that you could, so other muscles take over. Isometric contraction at the beginning of the workout gets things activated. Then you move into your workout, and it's much more effective.
Well, it's interesting how much psychology plays into training and lifting, especially when you're just going through progressive overload. And you know what you're capable of. You kind of show up to do your lift, and then you test yourself a little bit. But isometrics, I really feel like it stretches your neuromuscular capacity to like way more than anything else you can do, which then opens you up for even more access to all this force production, which if you don't do that, you just kind of like gauge how well you're doing based off of like what I can put up for that day in terms of like if I plate load just 5 more pounds on each side of the bar.
Now you guys are talking a lot about maximal performance, from isometrics, but I think where I use it the most was like teaching clients. Like getting a client to connect to a muscle,
totally.
Like that was like, I think when I think back to all the clients that we train, your average, general population, like they struggled a lot with activating certain muscles. I mean, some people just couldn't flex the back, or they couldn't do a bench press and feel it in their chest. And so, putting them in an isometric position and having them push or pull against it while also like touching the muscle or telling them that's where you want them to feel it was a great way to teach them how to connect to that, and they could intensify and then risk-free.
Yeah.
I mean, by doing that, like me putting a, 65-year-old who's never done a barbell bench press before under a barbell, like the risk of injury with her doing that versus doing like an isometric push-up, against something like is way safer.
100% why I did that in the first phase, restructuring this program for the football students, right? Because I could walk around and I could see just based off of their form, because it's so slowed down and they're just sitting in position and grinding.
You could perfect it.
You could just make little alterations, especially in a group setting. Was very helpful for that. But also it helped them really feel where they're supposed to feel support and what kind of action they're supposed to promote. To bring their body back into starting position.
I like to think of it this way, right? Like imagine like your muscle fibers are all these little workers. And when you're lifting a weight, your body's like, we need 10 workers. And then, oh, it's heavier. We need 15 workers. We need 20 workers. When you're telling your body to push something and it's not moving and you're pushing maximum.
We need everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. Activate everybody.
We're not getting anywhere.
It's not working. And so now what you've done is you've activated all those muscle fibers and you've sent a muscle building or strength building signal. Then you go and you work out and you do that, your normal workout, and you have access to more muscle fibers. What's funny is that bodybuilders, see, one of the things about bodybuilding I like so much is they tend to be more experimental with training methods because based off of feel, like I feel this more and this feel. And you'll notice that they do isometrics all the time, either by posing. So posing is an isometric, or you'll hear them say, hold the squeeze. Hold the squeeze for more definition in the middle of the chest, which is false, doesn't work that way. But they would say if you hold the squeeze or hold the peak contraction, you'll see more muscle growth. Well, what they were doing without realizing it was they were utilizing the power of isometrics. Yeah. This is, speaking of phases, this is the first phase in the new MAP Symmetry program. It's 2 weeks. It's a short phase because what we're trying to do is get you to activate those muscles so that you can move into the unilateral training, right? So you got the isometric phase, which is 2 weeks. Then you move into the meat of the program, which is all your unilateral training. But it'll blow. And we're already getting reports because the program is already out. We had the forum. The forum had access to it a week ago, and people are already like, "Oh my gosh, this feels crazy." Well,
I think even aside from that, I know I was teasing you at the beginning that you're selling a book, but the truth is we're actually giving the book for free for the launch. But I think this is the first time we've ever done this where we have 2 books that were written that you were giving away with the launch, and the isometric book by itself has ways for you, even if you weren't running a MAP program.
An incredible model in there too.
Your ass is the ass squeeze in that one. Is that where the ass squeeze?
Dude, there's a picture immortalized in that book.
There's a picture of Justin squeezing his glutes for.
Listen, you couldn't see otherwise.
Sucked him shorts up real quick.
It goes. He's like,
got a nice credit card ready to go down.
It's like pants, shorts,
shorts. Just gobble them up real quick.
Well, what we were going to do is we were going to put 4 quarters in his butt cheeks, have him squeeze out $1. We thought that would be too much. Too much.
Big ATM.
But really, though, what I was starting to say was that even if you didn't follow a MAPS program, that book has the tools in it for you to take it and apply it to your current workout or replace certain things or how exactly to implement it and use it. Because I think that's something that we all agree on. It's like one of the most underrated and underused tools that you have
today, and I think it's going to make a comeback. It's funny because when I first became a trainer, big box gyms, huge gyms, 40,000 square foot clubs, whatever. Nobody barbell squatted. Nobody deadlifted. This is 100% true, okay? Nobody did. Those exercises fell out of favor, and they're so effective. Well, they're back in favor now. Now it's hard to go to a gym without seeing somebody squat or deadlift. I think isometrics are the same. They fell out of favor for some reason. People are going to rediscover the power of isometrics, and you're going to start to see them become staples in people's training, just like deadlifts and squats and kettlebells and driving sleds. Now you see that stuff in gyms all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of training and working out, had such a great time at the NCI Coaching Con event.
Every time we do stuff like this, like it always, I can't wait. I'm so excited to get back into doing the live events again. We totally missed having Doug and Justin there for sure.
I had a bit of FOMO. I mean, it looked like you guys had a great turnout.
It's 100% so exhausting. I'm always so exhausted. I mean, I remember I called last night, right? So I get Vicky to push her back an hour. I'm like, I just need to sleep an extra hour tomorrow morning. Like I need it so bad. But it also recharges me for like the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's like you're exhausted while we're doing it, but then what I get and
your
feel
purpose meter goes up.
It totally does.
It does because obviously when we're doing the show, on the podcast, we're talking out to the world, to the ether or whatever. You don't really see the impact necessarily. But when we go to these NCI events, so NCI, for people that don't know, is a coaching company, and it teaches trainers and coaches how to become very effective with nutrition coaching in particular, but also how to build their businesses.
Oh yeah, communication skills, building their business, and networking.
They've developed a lot of successful trainers and coaches, and we like them because they're legitimate. They're really legit. They've got good information. But these are people actually working with people. So we go there, and there's almost 500 coaches.
Yeah.
And you meet some of these people, and they're like, your show has really helped me be a better coach, and I'm able to share episodes with my clients. And at one point I asked, because I went up and did a talk, and I said, how many people in here became coaches because of Mind Pump? And like, I don't know, almost half the room raised their hand. A lot of people.
Wow.
And that was really cool because we never tell people to become trainers.
We
and
say
coaches.
the opposite.
If anything, we say it's a hard job to make a lot of money. It's really tough. It's you got to really have a passion for it. But lots of people raise their hand, said that we influence them to do that. And so what it does for me is it makes me I feel grounded. You know what I mean? It reminds me of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people that were over there. Met some gym owners. Even though we tell people not to open a gym, people are like, I open a gym because of your show. I'm like, are you sure? Because we tell you not to do that.
You know what my favorite is actually I think it's kind of silly, but I really appreciate and like when I hear from people that you're exactly the same as you are on the show.
Yeah,
and
that's so weird to hear, but it's so true.
It is, and I think that since we started this, 6-7 years,
it's all an act for me.
Yeah,
so
it's not even his real voice.
Yeah,
Justin, show me your real voice.
Hey guys, I'm here.
But you know what ends up happening to a lot of these people that follow people on social media and podcasts and all YouTube or whatever like that is that they meet them and then they end up not being the character that they have put out there.
I hate that.
And we experienced that ourselves with having guests on here that we had followed or known or what like that. And then you see them and you're kind of like, oh man, I thought they were going to be more like this so. I mean, it's a huge compliment. I feel like to be told that like you are who you are, which is kind of silly, right?
It's silly, but yeah, no, it's true. I mean, you never know anymore. In
today's time, it is a big deal.
Well, I remember when I went from being a trainer to getting into management of gyms. Back then, the only people that went into management were salespeople, and so I was a trainer and I went into management. And they were like, "Why are you selling so much training? How is this? Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, that's what people need." It's because I was a trainer. I wasn't a sales guy, right? I was a trainer. That's where I came from. Well, we weren't media people. We started the podcast. We're trainers. So we never had any media training. We didn't know that we should be a particular way or whatever. So what you see is kind of what you get. And it's real, like it or not, I guess. Thank God a lot of people like it. Otherwise, this wouldn't work. But I can't imagine the torture that someone would feel being something else and then getting famous for that. Could you imagine?
We've seen it.
Oh,
they get anxiety, they're on medication, stressed out, wealthy but not enjoying their life.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it firsthand.
Maintain the facade.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, what other speakers were there like, and what were your favorites?
You know what? There all the speakers were great.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think so he had a hell of a lineup. Now we missed the first day, so we didn't get to hear Ed Milet speak. Which
everybody said that he was super powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, Shauna said she walked into Ed Milet's speech in the middle of it, and she says, I walked in, he was already going, right? So she doesn't even know who really he is, what's going on. And she goes, within like 2 minutes, I was crying.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how like power, and then laughing, like so just obviously, and he was like a favorite from a lot of people. Who I really liked, and I wish I remember his name right now. His handle on Instagram, maybe Doug can pull it up so you can see who he is Hard Closer.
Hardcore Closer?
Hardcore Closer.
Is that it?
I think that's either Hardcore Closer or Hard Closer. I've seen his Instagram before. In fact, I follow him because he's connected to some other people that we know. And I've been kind of like, whatever about him. I haven't really followed him, but I loved his talk.
Mm-hmm.
So authentic. Great story.
Hardcore Closer. That's it. Ryan Stewman.
There it is. Ryan Stewman. So
Yeah.
shout out to Ryan. Like, Really, really enjoyed his talk. Didn't think or know him really much before this.
He came across pretty authentic. Like
so it's like actionable kind of steps.
Well, both. So he had this killer story. So he's been like in prison, came out, made millions of dollars.
Lost it all.
Yeah, lost it all, made it again. And then he actually gave 4 very practical things that actually, he was the only person out of everybody that spoke that I took notes oh shit.
You didn't take notes when I was up there?
We've heard you a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
No, I did because, and I came back and he was the one I was telling Doug about. I'm like, hey man, there's a couple things that we're not doing that he talked about that we absolutely should start doing.
I did hear Sal crush though, dude. I'll give you that.
I had a good time.
Yeah,
I did it well. I tried to focus on, because there was a lot of speakers about building your business, because part of NCI is teaching you how to be a good coach. And then a lot of these events are also how to build a business, being a good coach. Because the truth is, if nobody goes into fitness to make a lot of money, and then when you get into fitness and you find you have a passion for it, the struggle then becomes, how do I support myself doing this thing that I love so much? Because it can be challenging. It's not a money-making industry like finances. I have family members that are all into investments and they're stockbrokers. And
we picked the hardest way to make
money. Yeah, if you're okay, you make good money.
We should be clear though. I mean, so they have 2 businesses. They have NCI and then they have BCI. So what we were a part of this weekend was BCI, which is, and it's all owned by Jason, right? So, but I mean, BCI is the Business Coaching Institute.
Yeah. Got it.
NCI is the Nutritional Coaching Institute. Yeah. So if you're listening right now and you're somebody who's more interested in the knowledge of nutrition, coaching, how to apply it to your clients, gut health, all that stuff, Jason's got tons of stuff on the NCI side, that's where you'd want to sign up for courses and stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody who's the scaling the business, making more money that's the BCI.
How do I build an online coaching
So of course this one is, to Sal's point, a lot of this was hype around, getting these people.
And so I saw that. And so I said, I'm going to take it back to the roots and I'm going to talk about the key, the root key is to be a great coach.
That's it.
And what does that look like? And I actually texted Arthur Brooks the day before, who, he doesn't realize this, but he kind of mentors me on a few things. And I say he doesn't realize it because I ask his permission. I just ask him questions.
Yeah.
But one of them was how should I open this talk? Because he's such an incredible speaker. Mm-hmm. And he says, remember that all great coaches I think he said great coaches.
Or leaders probably.
Or lead with love. And I said, that's perfect. That's where I'm going to start. And then I remember the quote from Thomas Aquinas that love is to will the good of the other as other. So it's not a feeling I feel love for you, but rather just wanting you to do well, regardless of how it affects me, good or bad. Just I want you to do well. And really good coaches do that, because the truth is you don't always like your clients. You definitely don't always feel love for them, the feeling of it. But a good coach always does want that. You always want them to do well.
What I thought was really cool was to see these people like Alex Hormozy, like the Ed Milet's. I mean, you had a couple guys up there have private jets. You have huge motivational speakers, and to see the applause and stuff that Sal got when he got on there was fucking cool. Was really, really cool awesome to see that. I mean, the song choice was different that he chose.
I didn't choose it, dude. Shut your mouth. Who did that? That was you, huh?
Dude, okay, so I got a text, I think Adam texted me and Doug, and he was just okay, I figured it out. I got the perfect song for Sal to come out to.
Such a good intro.
Wrecking ball.
So the girl,
he's gonna love this.
Jason's got all these people that work for him, right?
Miley Cyrus
and one of the girls that runs all the music and stuff. Right before Sal's talk, she came over to me. She says, hey, I just want to make this clear real quick that it's Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball. That's what he wants to come out to.
I probably would have done Madonna's Like a Virgin.
I was like, yes, that's exactly what he wants to come down. Make sure it's that. And she's like, are you sure this isn't some sort of a prank? I said, well, I chose it for him, but don't worry. She's like, okay, well, this is on you. So if he gets upset.
I thought it was great. You know what? I'm glad you did that.
Oh, I knew you would play with it. I knew you were going to get all upset.
You know why?
Where's my Rocky?
Yeah. No, you know why I like that? Because I feel like the music that you walk out to, it feels weird to me anyway.
It's pretentious.
Yeah, what am I, fighter? I'm come out
so
you're
just going to talk.
Yeah, so I'd rather play, I can't wait, bro. If you ever do a talk, I can't wait. Dude. That's some mariachi music or something. or some country, some hard work.
Oh my God, dude. It Hey, it was really, really good. And man, all the trainers, it's always
some Britney Spears, because that's your favorite person.
Yeah.
I read she was pregnant, by the way.
Yeah.
Is she really?
Yeah. So where were you 9 months ago? So I want to know.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah. I didn't even know
that weekend you disappeared.
I didn't even know does she have a man, or is she dating right now?
I have no idea, bro.
No?
Apparently.
Ask Justin. Justin's all into it. Justin, who's she dating right now?
Actually, she's got this new guy. He's gorgeous. I
Did you see the meme that Mind Pump Memes made for Justin on the San Fernando thing that we did?
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
That's good.
That is so
He's
funny.
on fire right
Whoops.
So
I know where that is.
I want to say one other thing. So Adam set this up, which you know Adam, the relationship maker. So we show up there way before we're supposed to be there, and we go to this place called State and Liberty, which is this exceptional clothing store for men who have athletic builds, but it's like nice clothes, like suits and, basically stuff you would wear to the boardroom or you would wear to a really nice event, but all designed for athletic builds, all super comfortable.
So stretchy.
Bro, we were so sick.
You don't even know. First of all, first of all, this imagine me, I cannot get a suit off the rack. Adam is 10 times worse because he has a really wide shoulders and really small waist.
Buff. You can say it.
No, just your bones
never
are
had
that way.
pants for me, so
your bones are different. No. But we took stuff off the rack, and they did go to tailor stuff for us just to really give us extra service. But I swear to God, I could have wore off the rack, and it would look better than.
Well, we did get some stuff off the rack, and we didn't buy. They actually comped it, which was super cool.
Yeah.
You know what? This is the thing I wanted to say about these guys.
cool for you guys.
I'm sure you guys will get hooked up. They'll hear this commercial and they'll reach out to you guys for that. Because we're not. By the way, there is no affiliation. We're not getting paid.
No, we don't even work with them.
We don't work with them. We're not getting paid at all. It was just a really cool. I had a great call with the founder just last week, and he's like an ex-NHL player, and kind of told me his story, and we just hit it off right away. Like I told him, like I said, had the call set up and said, like, because he was kind of like, okay, what, how much does this cost? Advertise? What does it look like? I said, I'm not interested in any of that right now. Like, really, I'm really just learning about your company. I had no idea the size. I literally thought there was like a small mom pod.
Yeah, like 17 locations.
Yeah, 17 locations. They have over 100 employees.
I was gonna wonder about that because I know it seems like a small demographic, but I know a lot of people that struggle with finding something that really fits because you get, up in size, height wise, or
it is
muscular,
specifically for fit people.
It ends up like a blouse,
bro. I bought size 33 pants, which I can never buy suit pants that are 33 because the legs never fit. So I got to get these
quads are always a problem,
and they fit right. They fit me well. The jacket, I could have had it off the rack. Now they went and tailored to make it even more perfect. But it's all V-tapered, and like the shirts are V-tapered and perfect.
Awesome. What's really dope
is they existed.
Now that we went and did that and we're in the system now, all we have to do now is like, hey, I want this blue suit, or I want that pattern, or I want this, and like all of our stuff, then it shows up to your doorstep.
So sick.
All tailored to you.
Now, we should have brought Justin because let's see if he could break the
little test, a little quality control.
Let's see you find some pants with these glutes.
No, they actually,
I've shredded quite a few.
Yeah,
they're telling me one of the things that they tell people is after they get all like put the suit on, he's like squatting them. He says, drop all the way down, squat them.
That's the test.
Yeah, the girls that were working there kept asking Adam to squat for some reason. Can you squat some more? You see, I did. Did you do that again? How those pants feel?
Getting some love.
Here, hand me those pants. No, don't go in there. Just do it right here. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, so more Elon Musk news.
Yeah.
He's not on the board.
What?
He turned it down.
Why?
So you know why, right?
I know what the theory is. I know what the theory is. Okay, so you probably heard the same thing.
Okay, why? I have an idea of why.
So when you're on the board,
you're going the same way.
When you're on the board, you are not allowed to own more than 14, I believe 0.2 or 0.7% of the company. That's a rule.
So you think he's going to keep acquiring?
Well, now he has no limits.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I think.
Really?
Okay, go ahead.
So because he's not on the board, he's now can buy as much stock as he wants, and theoretically could go crazy and own 51% of the company. If he was on the board, you're not allowed to own more than, I think it's 14.2%.
Okay.
So that's the speculation.
Okay, so what I heard was the reason why he's not is because they will limit like kind of what he can really tweet about. because he's part of the board, the rest of the board will be like, hey, bro, you need to pump your brakes.
So they can say how he does things.
Yes. Yeah. And not necessarily say he can't or like that, but they have influence on how much and how he's tweeting. And so him not being on the board gives him kind of
the irony is,
to do whatever he wants.
The irony is he has more power not being on the board. Think about it. Yeah. Because what are they going to do? They're going to shut him down or mute his tweets. Yeah. And what's he going to do? He'll pull out his shares and tank the stock.
And tank it.
Holy cow.
I just love that he's doing this.
I know.
It just shakes up the board.
Oh, I love it. I think it's so awesome.
No.
It's so one-sided.
I was telling you should listen to I was telling Sal, because him and I know listen to the All In podcast consistently, and they had a really good portion where they talk about him being on there. And I like it because 3 of the 4 guys lean kind of liberal. And to hear them have a conversation around Elon, because I know a lot of
they're all very free speech guys.
Yeah, they're even though they lean left, they are very pro free speech, and so they had a really good dialogue around like how he's going to influence that.
I want to say something about that. The left used to be the pro speech.
Well, no, of course they were the ones who pushed it and started it.
Listen, the
definition of the left has been crazy. Like the difference.
I'm old enough to remember when it was the right that wanted to ban rap albums and rock albums, and they wanted speech. They wanted a silent speech, and it was the left that was always defending it.
Yep.
All of a sudden, the modern left is the anti-speech party. It's very strange. But
these all identity politics. Only.
Yeah, but these guys. I mean, look, free speech. You can't if it's either all free or none, because the second you say no, you can't say this, then who has the power to determine what you can't say? And then it becomes what's popular is okay, what's unpopular is not okay, and free speech specifically exists to protect unpopular speech. That's why it's there.
Well, and Jason Calacanis came out and said, well, what about when Alex Jones came out and said all these things, and I was really surprised to hear the guys like go, no, you can't. Because as soon as you do then there's something 1 degree to that, and 1 degree to that, and that's how we end up where we're at right now, where we're canceling people for just some of their like basic views.
No,
it's
part
crazy.
Part of the great American experiment with speech is that shitty speech, the way you combat it is with good speech.
Yeah,
not by silencing.
It outweighs it. And public opinion sways on the better ideas.
You have to make your point.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, seeing what happened with Disney, seeing the move with Elon Musk, I mean, I'm getting a little excited right now. I feel like just like 3 months ago, I was like really worried, like where the fuck are we going right now as a country? But it kind of feels like we have swung really, really far one way, and we're starting to come back.
It's what it seems
bringing
to be.
it back to the middle.
Doesn't it feel like that?
It does seem that way. You know where it started? It started with the comedians. I first noticed it with the comedians, because they were kind of afraid to say stuff on stage for a second, and then Chappelle came out and said, I'm going to say what I want, and then people tried to take him down, but everybody defended him, and now comedians are going hard. Like, bro, I watch shows, and and you guys know I like dark humor, and half the time I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe, but I know what they're doing is they're pushing back. So that was like that right there was the first sign. So it definitely looks like it's starting to balance out a little bit. Speaking of Elon, by the way, did you hear his speculation about maybe having Tesla mine lithium? Did you hear that?
Yeah, actually, I saw something about that. I mean, isn't it, you can pretty much mine for lithium in a bunch of different locations around the world? Yeah,
so the cost of lithium has exploded, obviously, as we need more and more of it for, electronics and stuff. And he says, it would make sense if Tesla actually started its own lithium mining side of the business. Boy, would that be insane if he did that.
Now it's all in-house.
If they mine their own lithium, they would be so far. They're already so ahead of all the other car companies when it comes to electric cars. And I tell you what, I take back what I said about Tesla stock before. I used to always say how like it's overpriced or whatever. But I know why people put so much money in there is they look forward, and
it's the leadership too,
he keeps doing this. You know, he keeps doing this. It's really interesting.
Oh, the dude's brilliant. Dude.
I know.
Love him or hate him, you can't disrespect that.
It's crazy.
He's brilliant.
It's
he's
crazy.
Absolutely brilliant.
Hey, I got a cool study to bring up to you. You guys are dads, so I think this is interesting for parents. There was a 45-year-long study on children, and they identified how like really smart kids, like kids that grow up to become innovators and who are considered, on that brilliant side of the scale, like the things that lead to that. And they identified something that made the biggest impact. You want to hear what it is?
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So the kids have to start out with some kind of talent. So it's not like you could take lack of a better term, a dumb kid, and then make them the super innovative kid.
No, there's a genetic
stares at the wall.
There's a genetic component, just like there is with bodybuilding. The guys that are at the highest level of sports or bodybuilding have a genetic advantage, and then it's not to take away credit for all the work they did.
So here's what it is. So it's kids who have this propensity or this talent in a particular field, whether it's art or science or math or engineering, and then those kids get that talent fostered and fed. So education systems that identify gifted children and then take those gifted children and then feed the gift and push the gift and foster it and facilitate it tend to do really great. Now, to me, what's scary about this is all of these public education places throughout the U.S. are starting to eliminate classes like this because they say it's not fair. It's not equitable. Let's cut money and take. We don't need these gifted programs.
We're so concerned about individuals' feelings versus like the good of us as people. Like that's how these brilliant minds are made,
and they
innovate
problems.
and solve problems and make life better for millions of people. Versus, I'm worried about the one kid who's going to feel left out because he did. That's such a terrible way to look at it.
It's just weird, It's like I forgot. Universities were eliminating the SATs, but they're bringing them back now because they're like, well, I guess we were better off having these tests. But I know in San Francisco there were 2 school administrators that got kicked out. They got recalled. And one of the main reasons was they eliminated like AP math or advanced math. And a lot of parents were pissed off about that,
Yeah, because the competition to get in schools that are really tough, like it's really limited, like who they're going to let in. It's like you got to be able to do all these extra things to really show what your child's capable of.
Yeah, and I remember. I learned this even as a manager. Adam, you talk about this all the time about when your mentors told you this. He said to you, stop worrying about what you're not good at and focus on what you're good at and become great. As a manager, what I would do that with my staff. If I had a trainer that was really, really good at assessments but sucked at sales, I'm not going to, focus on him trying to do the sales. I'm going to have him teach my staff how to do great assessments, and then I'm going to get my good sales trainer to maybe help sell deals for him or whatever, and develop my staff that way, right? Yeah. And it worked out really, really well. So it's like finding these strengths in these kids and then feeding that rather than always trying to move them away from the strength because they're already good at that. Let's just focus on this other
enough
stuff.
with this homogenizing everything. Everybody's like equal, and no, nobody's equal. Like we all have strengths that are different, and that's okay. And we need to build and develop those and focus on that a bit more.
Yeah, totally.
Now, do you guys see that in your own children? Like, and are there things that you guys are already trying to do? I mean, Max is so young, so like I don't have very good examples of that right now. Like the best example I have is like I remember the first time
he seems to like music a lot.
Well, so the first time we had a live band in our backyard. The kid literally walked up, picked the sticks up, grabbed them the right way, started hitting them, and I was like, oh my god! And by the way, not long right before that, I was telling Katrina, like, we need to slow down with people buying him stuff. They're spending too much money on him. And then I go run out and buy this freaking drum set. And she's like calling me out on it. Like, what's up with you telling everybody else they can't buy him a fucking toy and then you go out and buy this, serious drum set for him? I said, it's only because I seen him do that. Like, I seen him do something. I saw something in him that I hadn't seen yet. Now, he may play it for a while, never play it, whatever. And maybe that's a little bit of money that I spent that is somewhat wasted. But I'd rather that than ignore those little signs because I didn't get that. As a kid, like all the sports I played, all the things I was into, that happened later in my life. When I had friends and I started to get introduced to different things and I realized, oh, I have a natural talent here or I like this a lot. And then I would do it on my own where I do think what your points out of that study is that, it helps when a parent is paying attention and they see these now I have all the sports stuff. I would have loved to see my son go do that, but I'm not trying to force that down his throat because he's not drawn to it. Yeah. So I'm also not, because he's drawn to music, going to be like, ignore that and let's go play ball, son. It's like, hey, if he gravitates towards that, I'm going to try and foster that by supporting it anyway. And right now, the best way I can support him is by getting him those things, right?
Kids or adults even, you're always like, think about things you like to do and you love to do. You're going to be better at it just because you're going to want to practice.
Bro, this is the secret to making a lot of money in business. is finding the things that you love to do anyways. I mean, that's the truth.
It doesn't even feel like work.
That's exactly right. If
you also have the potential to become great at it because you're already kind of good at it.
Because you think about it all day long and you don't feel like it's work. When you're, when you have downtime, you're Google searching, you're watching, episodes and podcasts and reading books, and because you love it. And if you're counting all those things as work hours or time, like, you're not going to do it for very long.
No, what I did is with because I have obviously my 2 older kids, is now my daughter right now, she's still in 6th grade, so she still gets her classes set up for her by the school, but soon she'll be able to pick her classes, so I'll do the same thing with her. But with my older son, he showed a talent for certain things, and what I did is I pushed him to do the more challenging advanced version of those classes. And there was a little bit of a conversation around it. He's like, well, I know I can get an A in this class, and that class is going to look real hard. I said, listen, I'd rather you get a C in this hard class than get an A in this easy class, which is true. I don't care if you get an A, if it's easy. What are you going to learn and grow from? I'd rather you struggle and push yourself to get the C in something that you might have a talent in. Like this, also like how that's going to set you up for real life. In real life, you may be talented as a kid, and that may get you so far, but eventually you're going to be around other kids or people that are talented like you are.
Yeah.
And what's going to separate you is, do you work harder? Can you deal with the struggle? Can you deal with failure? Because, and I'm sure people notice this in high school, like the high school kid who kicks ass in soccer, goes to college, all of a sudden he's like, well, everybody else is good too. And then maybe he does well, and then he goes to the pros, and he's like, everybody's even better, You got to keep taking yourself to the next level.
Speaking of your son, Sal, I was going to ask you, because we work with a company called Blinksys, and to me, it's like the Blinkist. I always say it wrong, right? It's like the digital audio version of like Cliff Notes when we were kids.
Somewhat.
So I was wondering, do you know if he knows that, or do the students like at school use that tool? Because that's exactly what that's like, right? You get this
So here's how it works for people who don't know, right? So
for book reports, you're like, I got
right. I mean, like, I would totally use something like that.
Well, so yes, and depending on the class, right? But what they do is they take audiobooks. They have like 5,000 titles. So they take the audiobooks, and I wrote this down. They condense them into 15-minute summaries, focusing on key insights. So they'll take a book, they'll condense it into 15 minutes to really give you the gist of the book. It's $7.49 a month, and again, you get 5,000.
And then
titles.
It also, what I really like about it is after you go through that, it's recommending other books around the topic and also counter to that.
Yeah.
So I was actually searching a topic today, which was really cool because I searched it, listened to the book that I wanted to listen to, and then it gave me another one. And I got a little fired up because it was like totally what I did not agree with. But it was like, that was good for me because I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So it gave me, the next recommendation was like a counter to the one that I originally
So here's how I use it. I go through and because I often do this, I'll look at a book and be like, wow, that looks interesting. And then I'll buy it and I'll read a little bit and be like, not really interested in it.
Right.
The way I use it is I get topics. I'll get the 15-minute version,
and then go get the book.
And if I really like it, then I'll go get the book and read.
I think that's how most people probably use it. Is to just kind of test out.
I'll have to try that because Ethan has always been a voracious reader, and he just like consumes like crazy. But these days, it's like there's all this reservation. He wants to hang out with friends. But I'm like trying to challenge him to like his level, and he's always taking it back to like the easy reads, and so I'm always trying to find like new titles that'll be like just a step above what he read the last time.
Yeah.
So I have to get through that.
He's at that age. He's definitely at the age now to be reading like, what's it, Tuttle Twins? Like he could have been that company.
I think that he might be a little older for that, right? Aren't they?
Have they read that? Kids? What would be a good one for him to read is the Peter Schiff one that I told you guys about.
Oh yeah,
that'd be a good read for him.
Yeah, even Everett could. Yeah.
No, my older son loves, like, he just read Fight Club. He read Beowulf, Grendel, and he's like breaking it down for me, and it's like, this is nihilism and this is that. And I'm like,
cool. I wish I liked to read like that when I was a kid. I feel like, man, if I would have caught that fire early on, I would have been.
What would have made you like it? What would have made you like it? Because my kids they go to good schools, they have good teachers. I had shitty teachers, but I did have a couple good teachers. That made all the difference in the world. Like, imagine you had a good teacher who would discuss a book in class.
Well, my best teacher was my English teacher, but it was more around writing that she got me. What would have made me really like it would have been pushing me to read things that I'm more interested in versus the books that I had to read for school.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like what I read right now is not what you would find in school. Like I do not like novels at all. You still can't get me to read a novel. I will not read a novel.
You didn't even read the romance novel you're on the cover of?
I didn't even read the romance novel that I'm on the cover of. I have no idea. No idea.
You have no idea what your character
does?
does?
No idea. I have no idea. I mean, I know
Based
she,
off of a true story.
I know she came after me because the description is supposed to be like me. So I think that's
really?
Yeah. That's why she contracted
mysterious
me
and moody.
Not my personality, the way I look.
My bad.
The way I look, yeah. But yeah, I think if I had teachers early on that were encouraging me to read some of these subjects,
totally.
My best friend's mom used to buy, and I used to read these. She used to get me these cool like entrepreneurial like magazines.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's great.
I mean, I don't really count that as reading, but if there was anything that I was reading when I was that age, it was stuff like that I was into.
Wow, that's great. No, I used to read, of course, all the bodybuilding magazines. I used to read this magazine called Omni. I told you guys about that. It's like a sci-fi, weird, whatever. Popular Science was another
I read Popular Science quite a bit too. Yeah,
I had Cosmo, and no, I'm just kidding. Read Cosmo. That's hilarious. Hey, Justin, I got something for you. Yeah. Just because I love sharing this stuff with you because I know it keeps you up at night. Okay, so California is talking about releasing a bunch of genetically modified mosquitoes.
Why? No, they already do this in the Everglades, didn't they?
I don't know if they did it, if they ever really did it.
They did it in Florida, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember reporting on that because I was freaking out. What possible horrible.
So it's the company is Oxitec, and what they're going to do is they're modifying these mosquitoes, and then what they'll do is they'll mate with the females, and then the females' eggs will die. They won't hatch. So essentially, they're going to create.
They're trying to like breed them out.
They're trying to create population collapse. Right?
On mosquitoes?
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
I mean, that would be great. Like, who cares? I mean,
okay. So what? Obviously, there's always an unintended consequence. So what else do mosquitoes?
Fantastic carriers of disease, right? This is my concern.
Yeah. It's been tested in a Brazilian neighborhood. It said it reduced the mosquito population by 95% in just 13 weeks.
Wow.
In that particular thing, they have some data in the Florida Keys that they haven't published yet. But of course, the fear is how is this going to affect other animals, insects, what happens downstream if an animal eats it. Yeah. What if there's a mutation? Like, we don't know, some of the stuff. This is what the critics are saying. But hey, I tell you what, look, you guys know me. I'm always skeptical. But if it does indeed deliver, this will be great. You know how many deaths and illnesses are
You know what? I was really skeptical until we had that great conversation with our friend over at Z-Biotics. Like, it made me look at GMO a little bit different. Yeah. I know that like GMO tends to get such a bad rap and a bad name, but there's plenty of like amazing breakthroughs that we're having because of GMO. Totally. So it's not all bad. And honestly, if mosquitoes are not providing anything for our environment or ourselves, and it could limit potentially diseases being spread and the annoyance of these fuckers, getting rid of 95% of them sounds like a pretty good idea.
It does. Okay, so check this out.
My cackles are up.
This is what's interesting. So they're only releasing males, and males are not the ones that bite. So you're not going to get bitten by these GMO mosquitoes. They're also, this is kind of cool,
males
actually.
Don't bite?
Check out this. No, only the females do.
Really?
So check this out. They're also inserted a fluorescent marker gene into the modified bugs. It produces a protein that makes its mosquitoes glow when exposed to a specific color of light. That way the company can track them. So they can like look and see like, oh, there's our mosquitoes or whatever.
What?
Kind of interesting, right?
Very cool.
It's very, very interesting. But like I said, there's people who are a little bit like,
Well, hopefully none of the Zika ones fly up from South America and sort of do a little interbreeding.
Well, and some people are like,
and like other diseases that they might have found their way in there already, and then they release them.
Well, the other thing too is like, you guys, this is the first time you guys have heard about this.
Yeah.
Residents aren't going to be told. So like, you're not going to know that they just released a bunch of GMO mosquitoes around you. Like, they just do it. Who decides? The city, I guess.
That's interesting.
I know, really interesting. But if it works, I mean, that's great. Nobody likes mosquitoes.
No.
Now, what animals eat mosquitoes, and is it going to hurt those animals? That's what I want to know. Are we going to lose
birds and frogs and
spiders?
Yeah, like just you're running. So we'll run of the mill kind of.
Wait, we'll get less spiders too. Wow.
I know.
I'm kind of liking this more and more, Doug.
Spiders are your friend, dude. They kill all those little shitty bugs.
Most of them are, yeah.
I don't like the way they look.
Bats, birds, fish, frogs, turtles.
What are bats good for? Bat guano. I know that. We use that for fertilizer and stuff a lot.
Do we use guano for fertilizer?
Yeah. That's super popular.
Really?
Yeah.
I only remember
That's clutch for marijuana plants.
Really?
Yeah, bat guano.
So you would buy
Bat
poop?
shit all the time, and
Where would you buy that?
Did it make you crazy?
You get no.
Bad shit, crazy.
Oh, come on, Justin.
Come on, guys, it's right there.
I caught it. Yeah, it's at every
Lame joke of the day.
hydroponic and whatever, I forget the name of the stores, right? That are for all the stuff for marijuana plants.
Wow.
Yeah. Bat guano is.
I only remember guano from what was that movie with Jim Carrey?
It's really high on a nutrient that
Pet Detective.
How dare I don't know? Is it magnesium or iron? Maybe Doug could look up what is bat guano high in. So most plants in a life cycle are deficient in this
corn.
In this
weird, dude. Weird. High in corn
micronutrient, and bat guano is very, very high in a nutrient.
Wow, that's interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference.
Where do they grow where they hold the bats for the guano? It's American. Or do you have to get it from overseas?
You know what? I'm not that much of a nerd like you are probably that would want to know like where did this come from?
Yeah.
And, like who's catching all this poop?
So it's 10% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, and 1% potassium.
Right, which are all those are the three macros.
Look up, what does it taste
so those
like?
are the three macros. That's proteins, carbs, and fats for the marijuana plant.
Oh, interesting.
So you've heard me talk about that before.
Yeah.
So those and so it has all three. So it's like it would be considered a perfect meal for the plant.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, little marijuana science for you guys today.
Hey, look, life is too short to suffer from digestive problems. If you want freedom from your food, then experience for yourself the magic of high-quality enzymes. Masszymes, it's the only company I work with digestive enzymes, and it helps a lot with my digestion. Go check them out. Head over to mindpumppartners.com, look for Buy Optimizers, and use the code MINDPUMP10 for 10% off. All right, here comes the rest of the show.
First question is from Jupra Cuff. How can someone control cravings? I'm trying to get out on a cut, but my cravings just destroy me.
All right. So before we get into strategies to reduce cravings, I think it's important to talk about like cravings themselves and talk about how we can deal with them because
where do they come from?
They're also just a part of life, right? Cravings aren't hunger. They're a desire to, I guess, eat something that's going to give you some pleasure, some value, maybe distract you. Really, ultimately, what you need to do is change your relationship to cravings because, and anybody who's ever had lots of discipline with nutrition understands this. Like at some point, you could still have the craving, but your relationship to the craving changes where you don't need to impulsively react or act on them. Like I've had clients who are like, it's so hard for me to eat less calories. I'm hungry. Like, well, the hunger is a signal because your body knows you're eating less calories than you're burning and you're burning body fat. So your hunger is going to exist. We have to learn how to change our relationship.
Well, I think it's funny that some of my clients would be like, I don't know where it came from. I just had this crazy craving and I had to just indulge. And I think if you step out and you logically assess like some associations you have or some tendencies that may tend to kind of repeat themselves. Like if you just are able to really take a look at that and like have an inventory of, okay, when I'm really stressed out or I'm feeling depressed or I'm going to the movie theater or I'm doing like XYZ type things, certain foods want to creep their way in, and then you can kind of look and see what that really is.
What percentage do you guys think of it is actually psychological and emotional?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you can even separate the two, right? I think
I would say that I would combine the two of them in comparison to actual like hunger, like so like
real hunger,
like psychological and emotional. I would carve off as the same thing, right? One in themselves or whatever, right? So the psychological and emotional kind of the same thing, and then you have like actually you're hungry, and so your body's wanting, and then you also have like your body will crave nutrients that it's lacking, so that's also a sign. So how do we know that?
Dude, the vast majority are cravings. Very small percentage of people actually
need something that they're
feel hungry. Like hunger really doesn't kick in until you're out without food for 24, 48 hours. Yeah. Then you really, and most people in modern societies haven't gone 48 hours without food. Most people haven't gone 24 hours without food, maybe except for when they were really sick.
Yeah.
So they're not really feeling hunger. They're feeling, these cravings. And it's an impulse. You know what it reminds me of? It's like, when you have a kid, you're raising your son, for example, and he gets mad, so he punches the wall or he throws something. What do you have to teach your kid? You don't teach him not to feel anger. You're going to feel that.
Control that feeling.
Yes, it's an impulse. Like you don't react on that particular feeling because that's an impulse. And that's what cravings are. Cravings are an impulse, or actually the action you take after cravings is the impulse. And so we have to look at impulse control or behavior modifications to deal with it. And part of it's becoming aware, like what you said, Justin. Why do I crave this? What am I feeling? I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm depressed. I'm sad. Okay, like maybe that's why I want to eat those things. And in order to do that, you have to create space between you and the impulse. This is why I tell people, don't have these foods that you crave in your house. Don't say you can't have them, but don't keep them in the house. That way, when you have the craving, you have to still drive to the store to get it. And at least that gives you the space to become aware and be like, okay, I really don't want that.
You know, it's another great strategy that's going to be controversial that I'm going to say.
What is it?
Do you know?
No.
You have a guess? Something that we come out and talk shit about early on, especially.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I can't guess right
Having
now.
a cheat day?
6 meals a day.
Oh, small meals.
Okay. I was going to say,
You know,
I'm gonna strangle you.
the
if you say
reason
that.
why I think it got the best, like, because obviously it's been disproven, right? The science behind it that they used to say stokes the fire in your metabolism, that's all bullshit.
No, I see where you're going.
If
I
you
agree.
eat 3,000 calories dispersed over 6 meals versus over 3 meals, exact same thing. So that's all bullshit.
Right.
But one of the things that I found coaching clients, and because there was a period of time where I used to have them break up their meals, and it's not always 6, it's like 4 to 6 depending on their size, right? 4 to 6 times a day, is because they had all these meals planned out and they had something to eat every 2 to 3 hours. They never allowed themselves to get to that place where they were kind of depleted and low, and they were like wanting, they were hungry. They were eating before they were almost hungry always.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they had good, healthy choices lined up. And so it kept those cravings at bay, which just made those habits and behaviors better. I see tremendous value in that, even though the fitness community shits on that.
No, you're right. I could see some value because what it does is the space between meals is shorter. And when you're dealing with cravings and impulse actions or reactions, it's harder to control my impulses if I know I'm not going to eat for 6 hours.
Right.
Like, I got to go 6 hours while dealing with this craving versus I only have to go another hour and I have another small meal. So I think I can manage that period of time. So I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, I noticed it in my own behaviors. I noticed that when I'm pretty consistent with getting meals every 2-3 hours, it's pretty easy for me to make good choices. Like, oh, it's about time to eat again. I should go eat this, versus getting so busy into work and not thinking about eating. And then like 6 hours go by and I haven't ate, and now everything sounds good.
Yeah.
Everything sounds good to me, and oh my God, and I just want calories. And I think it makes the decision that much harder. So even though we know that, 4 to 6 small meals a day does nothing for your metabolism, okay? But there are some value in that for somebody who struggles with this. So if you're somebody who knows that you struggle with cravings and this is a constant battle of wanting these types of foods, here is a strategy that you can implement that, yes, the way we've communicated it for years is bullshit, but does have some value still.
I'm going to be a broken record, but I'm always going to mention hydration and water.
That too.
Mainly because, dude, when you're properly hydrated and you're also eating a regular meal, like how that limits the overall amount that you really need. Like a lot of times we feel like we need to eat this huge portion when in fact
you're dehydrated.
Yeah, you're just not getting that signal that we're satiated. So that's just something, like if I can focus on something too. Sometimes people need a focus, like even if it's a mouth thing, and just drinking throughout the day does help in terms of like staving that off.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite strategies about the gallon of water. Was that you keep your mouth, again, not telling a client. Sal actually talked about this in his talk. It was your talk you brought this up?
I did.
Yeah, about not telling a client that you can't have sodas or drinks with calories or that, but just saying, hey, drink your gallon of water first. And if they're busy doing that all day, like they're
less likely.
They're less likely to even want to indulge.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go in the other direction. So small meals can definitely help. Now I'm going to go in the other direction. If you really want to challenge, and this isn't ideal for everybody, but for some people this actually works really well. If you really want to face your impulsive nature with cravings head on, an extended fast is actually a very effective way of doing this, because you're not going to eat for 24 hours, or if you go longer, right, 48 hours, right? You're not going to eat because you're doing this fast. So you just have to sit with it and deal with it. And then what happens is you actually build confidence, because, well, I've done it now for 6 hours. Wow, I've done it for 12 hours. I've done it for a whole day. And then in a short period of time, you change your relationship to those feelings and you actually start to have power over them. Now, the reason why I say it depends on the person, I would not recommend this to somebody who has eating disorders or anything like that, because that could actually make it much worse. I'm talking about the average person who, overeats or whatever, has never had
just to strengthen the discipline of it.
The discipline, right? Because
think of it just like training.
Yes.
You're exactly right, and this is how it would look for me helping someone. The first thing I would do is the 4 to 6 meals to get them, like, to help them with that. Like, I'm going to do this so they're not as challenged with the cravings, to assist them so they get some wins. Let's just be consistent. Let's eat all these meals. Now, after a few weeks that we've been doing that, I'm going, okay, now I want you to practice fasting. We're going to implement a day of fasting, and the reason why is I'm going to explain it the way what you just said right now. Is I want to teach you to be comfortable with those feelings.
Yes.
So first I'm going to assist you so you're not challenged as much. And then I'm going to challenge you by not giving you any food, and then telling you to learn to be able to sit in those feelings and be comfortable with it, because you're not going to starve. You're not going to die. You're not going to lose a bunch of muscle overnight. It's going to be good for you, and to learn to do that. So I think both are great strategies.
Totally, because you said it right. It's getting comfortable with this feel. Like, we don't have to act on every single feeling that we have, right? I mean, there's ones that we've learned and we've accepted in society, like the violence one. I said, do you know how many times in the car while I'm driving, I get the impulse to, run someone over or get out my car and throw someone out? You just get pissed off, right? That's normal. That's totally normal. But you don't do it because that's an impulse, and I control it, and I'm okay. I can deal with my anger, right? I have to learn how to deal with it. Cravings and these feelings that we connect to hunger, which is not really hunger, it's a craving. We have to get comfortable with that feeling. And some people are so uncomfortable with it that they feel a craving, and they tell you, how do I deal with it? I got to eat something immediately.
What do I do?
Yes.
Yeah. So third level of intensity is taking your kid to go get cookies where they bake it fresh and then not getting it.
Oh my God.
That's just torture.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you
that's
do
like
that?
That's like black belt. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did that. That sucked.
That's tough.
Next question is from Nebs. How can I keep my gains while going on vacation for 3 weeks?
Oh, yeah. So first off,
This sounds like 25-year-old me question right here. God worked so hard to get here. Please, God.
I know. So first off, let's address the whole, like, I'm going to lose my gains and all that stuff. So you might lose some strength. You might lose some performance in 3 weeks. Boy, does it come back quickly. You're barely going to miss it. So the week after you go train, you'll gain it back after that week. So whatever you lost in 3 weeks, you'll get it back. No problem. So it's not a big deal. And I want to remind people, when you go on vacation, there's the goal to go on vacation typically is to relax or enjoy other things or to get outside of your environment. Now, that being said, let's say part of your vacation is enjoying exercise. That's sometimes is what I do. I like to work out in hotel gyms, and that's part of my vacation. You only need about the last study I saw was something like 1/7 or 1/9 the volume to maintain. So literally, if you work out 5 days a week, you could do 2 workouts or less, or 1.
Yeah, and maintain.
And you're not gonna lose
50
anything.
push-ups before you get to the pool. That's all you need to do. Come on, guy.
Actually, what has helped me that is probably, I think, one of the most detrimental things about vacation. It's not so much about the working out. It's what happens nutritionally. Because like you said, you only need 1/7 the volume. So literally 1 or 2 workouts, or actually, I know you're joking, but even doing some push-ups and squats and some basic stuff is probably enough.
Calisthenics is fine.
What kills you is to go from, eating your protein intake like you're supposed to and a pretty balanced diet to over-consuming, drinking alcohol, and under-hitting your protein. That's what kills you, and not working out.
Yep.
So you not work out, you don't stimulate at all, you over-consume bad calories or not ideal calories, okay? And then you also don't hit your protein intake. So that's what's killer. So if I could just give you this piece, it's just hit your protein intake still. So it's vacation. If you want to have a drink, enjoy yourself. You want to have a dessert, enjoy your dessert.
Just hit your protein.
Hit your protein intake. And if you get a day or 2 in there of exercise, you're winning. You're awesome.
Yes. Now, is there value in forgetting? I got to watch my diet.
Sure.
I got to watch my workout. And just going and just being in the moment and wherever you're at, hanging out with the people around you. Absolutely. Does that contribute to better health too? Yes. Yes. You don't have to be perfect with your diet and your training to improve your health. Sometimes improving your health means you're not perfect with those things. You're just enjoying the people around you and having a good time. When I was younger and I would go on vacation, I would work out because I was afraid of losing my gains.
Same here.
Now, if I work out, it's because I enjoy doing it. It's a new place. And if I don't, it's not that big of a deal. And it's funny. I have way better vacations. And have I lost any gains from it? No, if anything, it often is the break that my body needs anyway.
Yeah. I'm more likely to work out just because I enjoy it. It has nothing to do with like maintaining gains or, looking a certain way. But yeah, I mean, it's, again, you got to give yourself a break. And a lot of times your body is craving a break and you don't even realize it until you get back and you're like, wow, I feel so much stronger and more energized.
I rarely ever train when we either travel or go vacation.
Yeah.
Just, I'm consistent enough, and this is me inconsistent right now, and I'm still consistent enough to be able to go somewhere for 2 days and not train, or take a week vacation once a year and not train. It is not a big deal whatsoever. And to your point, Sal, I think that it's not really vacation then for me. For me, completely relaxing. And that doesn't mean that I will intentionally avoid working out if it sounds like a good idea. Like there are some,
if it's something fun or whatever.
There's certain types of vacations where there's like a nice gym that's right nearby, or it's on the premise of where I'm at, and it's kind of cool, and it's got a steam room and a sauna, and I'm like near a beach. Like, okay, I'll probably lift there because that sounds like a fun time for me.
Well, we're all planning a trip at some point here where we're going to be near a beach. Like, I think it'll be fun one day to wake up and we all go out to the beach and do stuff on the beach, like some calisthenics or, lifting boulders or whatever we can find out there. Just for fun. But yeah, you got to change your mentality. And 3 weeks is not that long. And most people don't take vacations for 3 weeks. Most people do a week.
Yeah, that's rare.
So 3 weeks is even longer, and you're not going to miss out. And the same fitness fanatic who freaks out over 3 weeks is probably the person that needs to miss 3 weeks.
Sure,
that's usually the case.
Listen, hit your protein intake. Don't eat like a complete asshole. If you can get a couple workouts in while you're there, you win.
Next question is from the Real Sky Day. What, if any, are the benefits of doing decline bench presses?
Yeah, what's interesting? This is an exercise that I'm not super fond of, just because I feel like bodyweight dips are so much better.
Way better.
At kind of, that downward pressing motion that you get.
And the range of motion.
Yeah.
The range of motion you get on a decline bench sucks. Yeah, it's literally
it's like a couple inches. It's so weird.
People like it because you can do way more.
You can go heavy.
Yes.
Yeah,
every guy I know that does, but you never see a chick doing it, by the way, because they don't give a shit. The guys all do decline bench and they all try and make the case for why it's great. Go do body weight dips, or if body weight dips are too easy for you, load them up.
Yeah.
Load them up. You're going to get a much greater range of motion. You're going to get just as much chest activation. The decline benches.
I'll give you an alternative if you like the decline, is to do decline dumbbell chest press. And when you bring the dumbbells down, flare the elbows out and come back as far as you can. And you'll get a stretch across the chest that's actually quite incredible. And then a squeeze at the top. I mean, the barbell gets in the way, so the range of motion.
Totally. I definitely agree with that. But then you're also limited too on how much you can grab and set yourself up for. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. And really what you're doing is you're kind of like, emulating what it would be like if you were to do dips. You know what I'm saying? The dip bar is just as effective.
Now, what they say is that, decline bench presses works the lower chest, develops the lower chest a little more. And I guess biomechanically, that's somewhat true. I don't necessarily see, though, why. I haven't known anybody who needed to focus specifically on developing the lower chest. I almost feel like that's the default part of the chest.
That lift.
Yeah, that's almost like what develops doing a regular bench press the most. It's usually incline, and we're talking from just an aesthetic perspective, right? It's the incline I'll typically focus on with someone.
It's interesting because I think back of when I was like in high school, and I thought that it was so important because you had your incline bench, you had your flat bench, and you had
all
your
three.
decline. Yeah, I would hit all three of those every time I did bench workouts. So I was like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
I did the same thing for many, many years, and my chest got much bigger when I didn't give a shit about that anymore.
Yeah, like you said, real deep dips, and I would do them with the rings and get like full range of motion. It was better than anything else I did.
Now, I also don't like the way it feels on my head. You're decline heavy, and it feels like your head's gonna explode because all the blood is rushing to your head.
Yeah, I don't like hanging upside down.
No, dips. Go dips.
Next question is from Rachel J. Fit. When I'm spotting someone doing a dumbbell chest press, should I be spotting at the elbow or wrist?
This is actually kind of a funny question.
You know why it's funny?
I do both.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you're a trainer.
Yeah.
Because you do not spot new clients at the elbow. That's a great way for them to drop a dumbbell in the face.
And by the way, they'll do this. Yeah, it'll collapse down.
Dunk.
So you grab the wrist. But if I'm spotting my buddy, if I'm spotting Sal and he's pressing 120 dumbbells, it's the elbow.
Yeah.
Now, did you start with the elbow and then go wrist? Because like I did. like made that mistake, and this started happening. I was like, whoa. So yeah, you learned the hard way.
Yeah, no, I think both are applicable depending on who you're using for.
If you're training someone that's advanced, the elbow, because that's going to give them a better spot. They're going to have better range of motion or better control. If you're spotting a beginner,
you can assist more from there for heavy weight. So I actually just go by weight.
That's true. Yeah.
If you're pressing less than 40-pound dumbbells, I can spot you at the wrist all day long because that's like nothing for me to lift up. But if I'm lifting with a buddy or spotting someone like one of you guys who's pressing over 100,
it's better for them to bail. If they're doing the heavy weight,
right?
With the elbows. Have you guys? Elbows. So did you guys make that mistake as early trainers, going at the elbows with clients?
I don't know if I remember actually. I did. I mean, I dropped the dumbbell on one of my clients' faces. I've told that story before.
Yeah, dude.
But that was from guiding her on the wrist the right way. But then when she was done, I pinched with my fingers.
Weights.
The
yeah, that pinch.
Yeah, they were only like,
I almost did that.
Yeah, they were only like 5 or 8, maybe 10 pounds
slipped
at
right
most.
out?
Yeah, and it slipped out of my fingers and pop, bounced off of her head. So,
ouch.
luckily I'd already re-signed
No,
her, so
I remember I went to spot a client at the elbows.
Goose egg, right?
And what they do is you spot at the elbows and they do
they
this.
collapse.
Oh yeah, and the dumbbell went like this, and I let go real fast and grabbed it, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then I just went, at the wrist. But
Yeah.
no, the proper way to spot depends on who you're dealing with, how much weight they're lifting.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's why I picked this question.
No, it was a good. It's a funny one to think about because I haven't.
Because I know people will be like, it's always at the elbow. No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not.
No.
No, if you're training a newbie client and they're lifting, which they're going to be lifting lightweight because they're newbie, right? You're not going to have a newbie doing 80-pound dumbbells. So if it's a newbie client, I'm at their wrist to help guide them exactly how I want.
Here's an uncomfortable thing that I know a lot of people don't talk about, but manage where your junk is. When you're spotting people, you can kneel and do that. You don't need to be hovering over and like tapping the back of the head. This happens, you guys.
Those are your friends that are spotting you that way. I got you, bro. I got you, bro.
Something's swiping me.
Justin, you did
Swiper,
10 reps,
no
and now you're doing
swiping.
5. Why'd you stop all of a sudden?
I hate that.
That's hilarious. Look, if you like our information, head over to mindpumpfree.com and check out our guides. We have guides that can help you with almost any fitness or health goal. You can also find all of us on social media. So Justin is on Instagram at mindpumpjustin. Adam is on Instagram at mindpumpadam. And you can only find me on Twitter at mindpumpsal.